Welcome to Venezuela, the continuation, part two. Part two. All right, so there's no way that I could talk about Venezuela without dedicating time to the election aspect of it, because the truth of the matter is that if you see right after Donald Trump attacked and pulled Maduro, which let's just say this too, there's some people out there that are saying that Maduro wasn't extracted as much as he was rescued because Maduro knew that the Trump regime was going to come in and get him, and the powers that be, because it's very, very important for global socialism that is a strong socialist country, and they took a major, major hit with a major, major leader going down, and maybe they wanted Maduro to stay there and be martyred because they love martyrs. They love martyrs. Look at Minnesota. They love martyrs, right? So anyway, so it's true. It's true. You know what I mean?
I can
And
laugh at
Maduro,
it though. I can laugh at the truth. The truth is funny.
but then, so Maduro was like, well, I don't want to be martyred. I want to get out of here. So there's a potential that maybe he was pulled out of there and now he's going to sing. And the reason why they need him to sing is because Smartmatic comes from Venezuela. Smartmatic comes from Venezuela. Smartmatic was a company that Hugo Chavez started, I guess, in the late 90s. There was another name for it. I'll make it brief. But anyway, they got these three genius programmers to create the source code that allowed for them to flip ballots. And the thing is if you look at the ballot flips, what you'll see, I was just looking at a chart recently, and what it does is that you'll have a big spike for Biden. They'll have an intended destination, and what'll happen is there'll be a big spike for Biden, and then it'll slowly track in back until they catch on to where they want it to be. And
Right.
you'll see repeated patterns in these Smartmatic machines. People don't operate in patterns. So the vote counts would be like 7 Biden, 1 Trump, 7 Biden, 1 Trump, 7 Biden, 1 Trump, 7 Biden, 1 Trump. And you would see this pattern repeated in batches in Smartmatic machines as well as ES&S machines. This code came from three Venezuelan programmers that Hugo Chavez hired for Smartmatic. Now, Smartmatic is a Venezuelan company. They can't operate in the United States, so they bought Sequoia. Right now, Smartmatic is actually registered. I had one idiot on my Facebook.
So hold on.
last
You
year
can
said,
actually, we did this in an earlier when we were talking about SEPs and stuff like that. So
Uh-huh.
we can reference, check out our earlier video if you want the full details of how Smartmatic is tied into Southern Florida.
Okay, good. So there we go. Okay, great. So then we'll move forward. So now you have Smartmatic, which is the Venezuelan company. That company goes in, and then they get Sequoia, and then Dominion comes in, and then. But what it is it's this source code, that gets put into all these different machines that allows for the machines to alter the tabulation, and that the numbers that come out of the machines is not equivalent to what the papers are. See Tina Peters for more on that. But anyway,
Right.
So this is all coming out of Venezuela. This was Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez was able to flip elections for himself. And then they're saying that the first ones that happened in America were in primaries in Chicago around 08.
Really? Where'd you get that from? I mean, I believe it, but I want to believe it. Where did you get that from?
So I was watching an interview with CIA agent Gary Burnson. CIA agent Gary Burnson is part of the Three Musketeers. The Three Musketeers are Gary Burnson, Patrick Byrne, and the third guy is Zorro. Patrick Byrne refers to him as Zorro. Now, Zorro is the guy from Venezuela who's been doing investigations on Smartmatic. Patrick Byrne is the rich tech guy who was financing it. He just came out on TV and made claims about his intelligence ties a little further than usual. And then you have Gary Burnson, I think his name is Gary Burnson. Yeah, Gary Burnson is the third guy. He is a CIA agent. He was one of the first people to go into Afghanistan after 9/11. This guy's a very, very, very decorated guy.
Okay.
And these three So Byrne, and then Zorro, these three have compiled all this information, and they came up with this presentation that they first presented to Susie Wiles, who
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump saw it. And then from Susie Wiles, I know that General Mike Flynn saw it, but Susie Wiles said you got to send it to Elon Musk. She sent it to Elon Musk. Elon Musk saw this breakdown of Smartmatic and Dominion and all this stuff. Now you have two different versions of this presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The 6-hour version, Elon Musk said, I don't have time. So apparently, Elon Musk took Zorro's stuff, put it into his AI.
Mm-hmm.
It ran through it, pumped out a 1-page thing. And as a result of what he saw, he said, uh-oh, we're in trouble because of elections, jumped on a plane. And that's when he went to that Pennsylvania rally. And that's where all of a sudden Elon Musk started pumping all this money in there. This had to
Right.
do with election integrity because of
Mm-hmm.
Smartmatic and the threat from Venezuela. Now, it just so happens that I have also seen that presentation. This is absolutely true, and I have
Yeah,
not talked
I
about
remember
this
you telling me
before.
about it. As you're
You
telling me
know,
it, it's all like ringing bells. I'm like, okay, all right.
I'd been in the same room as Zorro. I was outside of DC last year, the day after Donald Trump. Patrick Byrne was there. So on my Facebook, you can look at it. It was right around the time that it was election. It was or not election, inauguration. It was inauguration day. It was
Mm-hmm.
like maybe a day or two after the inauguration of Donald Trump 47 is when we were down there in his house outside of DC where we received this presentation. You can look on my Facebook and see pictures of me with a lot of political people, including Patrick Byrne. So I am intimately familiar with the Smartmatic. This is why I've been talking about this stuff. Okay. So these are the people that overthrew the election in 2020. Ultimately, these are the people that overthrew the election in 2020, and they haven't gone away. They've been throwing elections the whole time. A lot of people sit there and they say to me, Dan, you don't know what you're talking about. Chuck, I send you Chuck sees all sorts of information that I don't share in public. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see if I'm going to check and see if we can share on this. What's it called? It's called a relationship diagram that showed you Smartmatic and SEPs and USAID and how it plugged into all the different countries all over the United
It's
States that
called
have
a
been
chart,
thrown.
for lack of a better term,
So
right
yeah,
now.
it's it's a chart. But anyway, so you can really see how this stuff is in here, and it's no surprise that Trump did it at the beginning of 2026 when the elections are going to happen at the end of 26. And if these elections continue to be stolen, it's going to be over for a lot of us. So that's why this is
Yeah,
happening now, is to help with election integrity. That's why we have to do one day hand counted paper ballots,
agreed.
counted where cast in person, no machines, no mail-in ballots. And
Yeah,
this is all part of the Venezuela thing.
we could easily just follow the Florida model. I mean, they seem to have it down to a science. Like they had their full results in the entire state inside of what, 2.5 hours in 24. That's
If they're
crazy. That's not a
yeah,
small state, you know.
listen, there's ways of doing it very, very efficient. There's the accountable tabulation system, which gets done very, very efficient, very, very easy. And the question is that it won't take as much time as it's been taken, but it takes time to do it right. And if you do it right, then we can have honest elections. And maybe a lot of this weirdness that we've been seeing is gone. But what I'm saying is a lot of this is tied to
Oh yeah.
Venezuela. People are ignoring
Mm-hmm.
that. That's why Trump flooded social media with election integrity stuff right after he attacked Maduro. Keep an eye out for that. That's coming.
Right. So before the close up, let me ask you. I'm going to ask you for a prediction because
Good.
you're more cued in on this than I am. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think Maduro is going to end up turning? Is he going to play ball? Is he going to give us information? Is he going to spill the beans on the election integrity piece?
I hope
What's your
so.
call?
I
What's your
really
call
hope
though?
so.
Make a prediction.
Well, because I'm a cynic, I would say no.
Okay.
Because I'm a cynic, I would say no, because one of the things about politics is there's very little catharsis in politics. It just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling, you know. But
Mm.
what's happening right now is where we could potentially, for the first time, have a catharsis. So if there was ever a time where I would believe it could happen, that coupled with the fact that I truly do believe that Delcy Rodriguez and her brother set up Nicolas Maduro, there's a chance.
So your money's on probably rescue operation, not extraction.
If I were to put a percentage on it, I would believe that 25% of it was a rescue operation and 75% was an extraction. But here's the thing is you have to pay attention to all the different angles. You can't just follow one angle. You have to pay attention to all the different angles. Chuck and I were talking before we filmed about some stuff that I think I figured out. And the reason why I figured it out is because if you pay attention all the time, you get a piece of a story here, and then you get a piece of a story
Yeah.
there, and then they start to line up because this person and this person didn't realize that they were going to share interlapping things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how you figure this stuff out. So that's why you have to pay close attention to Dulce Rodriguez, her relationship to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a lot of
Yep.
countries involved: Serbia, China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela. These are all countries we got to pay attention to. It's all
A-
tied in together.
And while we're trying to pay attention, we have this nice big distraction going on in Minnesota right now to try and take our eyes off of it.
Isn't it funny how that works? Isn't it funny how that works?